Breaking news is shaking the NFL. A fifth-round project, who was supposed to sit and learn, is suddenly at the center of boardroom panic. Nike is preparing a record-breaking deal that would make Shedeur Sanders the highest-paid rookie endorser in history, and league executives are calling it a crisis. For decades, the NFL wrote the rules. Rookies waited their turn, brands played it safe, and the biggest endorsement money went to proven veterans. Not this time. In a matter of weeks, what began as harmless preseason curiosity exploded into a business event big enough to rattle owners, agents, and the league office itself. How did this happen? How did a number 144 overall pick ignite a buying frenzy that nobody in New York, or even in Beaverton, saw coming? What is the prime equity clause? The contract twist that treats a rookie not like an employee, but like a partner. Why did the draft night slide and anonymous character whispers intensify right as the money started moving? And the question keeping executives up at night, if Shedeur can pull this off, who's next? And what happens to the NFL's balance of power? Nike saw it first. While some questioned his focus, they built a brand. Heritage callbacks to his father's iconic lines, custom drops, a storytelling machine that carried him from bolder highlights to a pro-ready mythology. Then came the spark. A calm, efficient preseason debut, a viral watch celebration, and a rollout that turned a rookie quarterback into a global cultural product, not just a player. This isn't a feel-good endorsement tale. It's a stress test for the league's old model, where control flows downward and players learn to be grateful. Sanders flipped that script. He didn't just sign a contract. He negotiated leverage. He didn't just collect a check. He positioned himself for equity. If he succeeds, he won't just win games. He will change the rules for everyone. If he fails, the establishment will point and say, "We told you so." Either way, you're watching a line being redrawn in real time. The tremor didn't start with a press release. It started with a number no one could ignore: jersey sales. It didn't begin with touchdowns or trophies. It began with something far more powerful: merchandise. The moment Shedeur Sanders suited up for Cleveland in the preseason, the buzz wasn't just about his throws. It was about the fans. They lined up outside stores, refreshing online shops, desperate to get their hands on a number 14 Browns jersey. At first, league executives dismissed it as hype, a little bump from the Sanders name, maybe a temporary wave of excitement from Colorado fans. Surely it would taper off once the preseason spotlight dimmed. But it didn't taper. It surged. Retailers sold out within hours. Restocks vanished overnight. International markets began clamoring for shipments. Social media lit up with fans showing off Sanders jerseys as if they were collectibles, not just apparel. The league had seen rookies sell jerseys before. Top draft picks always create a spike. But this was different. This wasn't a wave. It was a tsunami. And when the numbers finally came in, they left executives speechless. $250 million. That's how much Shedeur Sanders generated in jersey sales before playing a single regular season snap. A fifth-round rookie, drafted 144th overall, had just produced $250 million in merchandise. But that was only the beginning, because hidden in his rookie contract was a clause so unusual, so disruptive, it turned this sales boom into something far more dangerous for NFL owners. Most rookies don't negotiate, they sign. The system is rigid, the contracts are standardized, and the league owns nearly everything tied to their name. That's the way it's always been. But Shedeur Sanders didn't step into the NFL to play by old rules. He came in with leverage. Buried inside his rookie deal with the Browns was something agents now whisper about in awe: the prime equity clause. It wasn't just language about incentives or escalators. It was a structural shift. This clause guaranteed Shedeur a cut of nearly everything tied to his name: jersey sales, sponsorships, social media content, even behind-the-scenes footage. Instead of being treated like an employee, he was treated like a partner. For decades, rookies were told to wait their turn. Sanders skipped the line. He turned his brand into a revenue stream and forced the league to acknowledge it. And when that jersey tsunami hit, the clause did exactly what it was designed to do: deliver money straight into his pocket. $14 million. Before his first real NFL snap, more than triple the value of his rookie contract. Earned not on the field, but through a revolutionary deal that rewrote the player-team relationship. But here's the twist. While NFL owners scrambled to understand what had just happened, Nike didn't blink. because they had seen this moment coming all along. Long before the Browns called his name on draft day, Nike had already made their move. In 2024, while Shedeur Sanders was still lighting up college defenses at Colorado, Nike signed him as their first NIL football athlete. That wasn't just a sponsorship. It was a declaration. Nike wasn't renting his image. They were building his brand from the ground up. They rolled out exclusive cleats, custom sneakers, and a Poetry in Motion campaign that connected his college highlight reels to a pro-ready identity. Every ad was designed to echo his father's legendary legacy while framing Shedeur as the next cultural force. By the time the 2025 draft approached, Nike was already all in. They broke months of silence on social media just to spotlight him. They teased retro colorways of Dion's iconic Air D Max 2. Billboards from Boulder to Times Square carried his face and his now famous watch pose. Critics saw a distracted rookie. Nike saw inevitability. For them, this wasn't about whether Sanders would succeed. It was about when. They had invested not in a quarterback, but in a movement. But on draft night, that inevitability was tested. Instead of going early, Sanders slid further and further down the board. And the reasons may not have been as simple as they looked. Draft night was supposed to be the coronation. Analysts projected Shedeur Sanders as a late first-rounder, maybe early second at worst. His jersey sales were booming. His brand was already bigger than most veterans, and his highlight reel screamed franchise quarterback. But as the names came off the board, Sanders' stayed silent. First round passed, then the second. By the third, the disbelief grew. By the fourth, the whispers started. Anonymous executives leaked the same talking points. He's entitled. He's more interested in building a brand than building chemistry. His body language doesn't fit the leadership mold. To some, these sounded like standard draft night smears. But to others, they felt deliberate. A coordinated effort to punish a rookie who dared to demand something no one else had. The prime equity clause. By the time his name was finally called, number 144 overall, 5th round to the Cleveland Browns, the damage seemed done. A player who was supposed to headline draft night had become a cautionary slide. But the NFL underestimated him because Sanders wasn't crushed by the fall. He used it as fuel. And the moment he stepped onto an NFL field, the narrative began to flip. One preseason game was all it took to silence the whispers and prove why Nike had never flinched. For most rookies, a preseason debut is forgettable. A few safe throws, maybe a short series, nothing that makes headlines. But for Shedeur Sanders, it was the first chance to flip the narrative that had dragged him down on draft night. Against Carolina, he looked nothing like a 5th round project. 14 completions, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns. Calm in the pocket, decisive with his reads, accurate under pressure. The same composure he'd shown in college translated seamlessly to the NFL stage. And Nike was ready. Within hours of the final whistle, they launched a viral ad featuring Sanders' now signature watch celebration, captioned, "Only a matter of time." It spread like wildfire. Hundreds of thousands of likes, millions of impressions, and a wave of fan edits that flooded social media. By the end of that week, jersey sales weren't just strong. They were historic. What should have been a minor preseason storyline had turned into the biggest endorsement moment the NFL had ever seen. Shedeur Sanders wasn't just a rookie anymore. He was a phenomenon. But the higher he climbed, the louder the resistance grew. And soon, the backlash came. Harsh, personal, and impossible to ignore. Success in the NFL doesn't just attract fans. It attracts critics. And for Shedeur Sanders, the backlash was swift and merciless. Earlier that summer, long before his preseason breakout, he had been cited for speeding. 91 in a 65, 101 in a 60. For most players, it would have been a footnote. After all, veteran star Myles Garrett had faced similar charges with barely a ripple in the press. But when it came to Sanders, the coverage was different, harsher, louder, personal. Headlines branded him immature. Commentators labeled him entitled. Pundits dissected his every move, framing swagger as arrogance and confidence as carelessness. It was a pattern familiar to many black quarterbacks before him. Behaviors praised as competitive edge in others were suddenly treated as fatal flaws in Sanders. The double standard wasn't subtle. It was glaring. And the whispers didn't stop there. Reports claimed he blamed teammates, that he cared more about Instagram than the playbook, that he was more celebrity than quarterback. Each story fed the narrative that he didn't belong. Through it all, Sanders didn't lash out. He didn't clap back online or try to win the media war. He let his numbers, his calm, and his growing influence off the field do the talking. But the message was clear. Shedeur Sanders wasn't just battling defenses on Sundays. He was battling a narrative designed to slow him down before he could rise any higher. And inside the Browns' own locker room, another fight was waiting. One that would test his place, not just in the league, but in his own team. The media storm was loud, but the real test for Shedeur Sanders was inside the Browns facility. Every rookie faces competition, and Sanders was no different. He wasn't just fighting the outside narrative, he was fighting for snaps, trust, and a spot on the depth chart. On the field, the numbers told a clear story. Sanders posted a 106 passer rating in preseason action. His rookie competitor, Dillon Gabriel, just 66 with an interception. The tape backed it up. Shedeur looked sharper, more composed, more NFL ready. But football isn't always decided by stats. Veteran Joe Flacco brought decades of experience, and coaches are rarely eager to hand the keys to a rookie, especially one carrying as much noise and attention as Sanders. Then came the scare, a minor oblique injury in practice, labeled nothing serious, but enough to remind everyone how fragile momentum can be in the NFL. One awkward hit could derail everything. Still, teammates noticed. The way he commanded the huddle, the calm in his voice when plays broke down, the quiet leadership that belied his age. Those things can't be faked, and the locker room knew it. Meanwhile, outside the building, Nike wasn't waiting for depth charts. They were already preparing something bigger. Whispers of a signature shoe line began to circulate, a move almost unheard of for a rookie quarterback. Getzish. And that set the stage for the final chapter, a future where Sanders isn't just playing football. He's redefining what it means to be an athlete. Rookies don't get signature sneakers. They don't headline global campaigns. They don't rewrite contract structures before playing a single regular season game. But Shedeur Sanders isn't like any rookie the NFL has ever seen. Nike insiders have already confirmed what many suspected. A signature shoe line is in development. Not just cleats for the field. Full-fledged lifestyle sneakers with working names like LL2C and Proto 9-2. The kind of treatment usually reserved for global icons. Not a fifth-round rookie. For Nike, this isn't about short-term hype. It's about a decade-long bet. Every campaign, every product, every viral moment is designed to fuse Shedeur Sanders' image with their brand. And thanks to the Prime Equity Clause, Sanders isn't just endorsing. He's profiting. He's not just a face, he's a partner. That's why NFL executives are rattled. Because if Sanders succeeds, the blueprint changes. The next wave of rookies will demand equity. Contracts will shift. The old model of control, owners at the top, rookies at the bottom, will crumble under the weight of empowerment. But if he fails, if his play falters, if the spotlight proves too heavy, the league will point to him as proof that this experiment should never be repeated. They'll say rookies can't handle power, that the old way was better all along. Either way, history is watching. Shedeur Sanders isn't just playing quarterback for the Browns. He's playing for the future of athlete contracts, endorsements, and the very definition of power in professional sports.